Well, I'll do intros real quick. My name is Aaron Bolin. I'm one of the public information officers with Scottsdale Police. Spelling of my name is Aaron. Last is Bolin. And we're here to talk today about an officer-involved shooting that occurred this morning at approximately 9:45 a.m. here at our McKellips station, located near McKellips and Miller Roads in Scottsdale. The initial call came in about 9:45 that an adult woman was in the customer service lobby at the front of the police station and had basically pulled a gun and pointed it at one of our station employees. That station employee is an unarmed member of our police force. They then notified other officers that were in the building that there was someone at the front with a gun. That person was an adult woman. That adult woman then moved over to another customer service window where another citizen was, actually here on police business, and then pointed the gun at them. That all happened while officers were quickly responding to the lobby to then go ahead and try to make the scene safe. When officers made it to the lobby, they gave clear, loud commands for the woman to drop the gun. She was still holding the gun at that time. And as they entered into the lobby from behind a door, they again gave commands for the woman to drop the gun. She did not drop the gun. In fact, pointed it at our officers. And one of our Scottsdale officers then fired his weapon and basically neutralized the threat there. And when I say neutralized, what I can further describe about that was the woman that was holding the gun then fell to the ground. The gun she was holding fell away from her hands and from her possession, and that other supporting officers coming into the lobby then rushed to basically secure her and begin rendering aid. I know it will be asked, so I will try to tell you what I can tell you without interfering with too much of the investigation now. The officer involved fired at least one round from his service weapon, and the suspect was struck by at least one round and had injuries. That suspect was taken to a hospital for those injuries, and they remain in protective custody at this point in time. Obviously, there's an ongoing investigation here. It's just almost essentially getting underway. I know it's been now a couple of hours, but it's still in the very early stages. When we get to the point that we'll be able to answer some questions, we'll do the best we can. Obviously, keep in mind that this is still an active investigation. Part of that active investigation is going to be a couple different things. The Scottsdale Police Department is going to be investigating why the woman came to this lobby, if she had business here at all, and everything that basically led up to the officer-involved shooting portion. Our Scottsdale Police Internal Affairs Division will also be investigating our policies and procedures and training to make sure that our officers were consistent with that. The Mesa Police Department is investigating the actual officer-involved shooting as part of our agreement with EVCERT, which is the East Valley Critical Incident Response Team, which is standard in any officer-involved shooting for us and our other East Valley partners, part of EVCERT. So basically, anytime there's a critical incident, such as an officer-involved shooting or an officer using critical force or, lethal force, then we always have an outside agency investigate as part of that EVCERT agreement. Mesa is our partner in that with us. The facilities behind me at the police station, our lobby is now going to be closed through Monday. And why that's important for the community to know is because this is where vehicle impoundment hearings and proceedings take place. So if anyone was scheduled for a vehicle impoundment hearing with the Scottsdale Police Department between now and Monday, then those are all going to be continued to Monday. So please don't come here. Again, the lobby will be closed until then. Immediately east of us, in the same parking lot we share, is one of the Scottsdale City's food banks. That food bank is still currently open and taking in folks that need that type of assistance from the city. So that food bank is still operational. The Scottsdale Police facility is currently closed. So I just want to make sure we're clear on that with everybody else. And I'm trying to think of anything else that I need to talk about at this point in time. Again, I can take some questions. They're going to be limited on what we're allowed to say with the investigation ongoing. And I don't really know where to start. I'm just going to start left and go to the right. We'll start with there.
Do we know if that person was engaged there and she was
the question was, do we know why this woman came to the lobby? Currently, we're not clear on why that happened. That's something that we're looking for in the investigation. That part will be part of Scottsdale Police's investigation. It will be important to the officer involved shooting investigation that Mace is conducting, so we'll be sharing information on that when we know a little bit more. That woman is still in the hospital under protective custody right now, and we're waiting to see how she does with the injury that she has. And so we'll go from there, but that's something that we're still looking into, is how did this happen? Why did she come here? And a lot of those questions that we still have ourselves, we'll be looking to answer later. Next. The suspect was taken to the hospital with critical injuries, which would be consistent with any type of gunshot wound. Again, I can say that she has at least one gunshot wound. We know that for sure. But the investigation into the officer-involved shooting and all of that, that'll be part of that investigation as well. And then typically we don't usually release much about a person's medical conditions once we initially take them to the hospital. So it's really going to be kind of a wait and see. I can tell you that she will be facing criminal charges if she survives this injury. And again, she's under protective custody right now. And as soon as our investigators can talk to her, that we'll be trying to facilitate that interview with her.
That was my second question. Do we know what sort of charges will be recommended or how soon that will happen?
Don't know how soon it's going to happen, because it's really going to be dependent on her medical status and when she would be basically cleared to have any kind of investigation or questioning happening. So obviously when someone goes to a hospital with any type of injury that might be kind of critical or severe, they might be put under sedation, things like that. So it's really going to be kind of a waiting game to see what happens. Obviously, we will be providing some updates on that. So again, Scottsdale Police is going to take on the investigation that leads up to the officer-involved shooting. And that's going to be part of why she was here, why did she point a gun at employees that are here, and some of those things. So we'll be sort of the speakers on that part of it, and then Mesa Police will be the ones to speak on the officer-involved shooting part once that all gets kind of put together.
Do you guys have like security footage inside that you were able to review, and would that be something that you guys would release if you have it?
There is surveillance footage inside, and one of our employees that was part of this actually also was wearing a body-worn camera, so there is footage from that. The responding officers also had body-worn cameras on as well, so that would be something that would be releasable in time. A timeline on that I don't have for you right now. Again, part of that is still part of that active investigation that's happening right now. It's very important that our investigators take a good look at all of that and really know what they're going to be interviewing on and get more facts of what happened, because they're also interviewing the witnesses. So don't forget, we had this innocent citizen in this lobby here on police business trying to just get done what they were getting done when they were also victimized of this. So there's a lot of interviews to be done on this, and when we can release some of that information, we will.
Was that initial employee that the gun was pointed at behind like a glass?
So we do have protective glass, yes, at the desk at the lobby area, and so that's why they were able to make a safe retreat, call for help, and have more help arrive to help them.
Were there others in the lobby waiting to talk to some of those employees at the time?
So what I can tell you is that when this incident occurred, we had the one adult woman suspect, then we had another adult man who is a citizen that was there at a different window. So our setup in the lobby is basically one main window, and there's a side window where the hearings happen for the vehicles that have been impounded, essentially. And so that's where that other citizen was. So it was just basically the two people in the lobby, the woman suspect and the man citizen that was there on police business at the tow window.
And then the two employees behind the
They were behind the protective glass. Yeah. Oh, sorry. There was only one employee at the time behind the protective glass.
And then can you just talk about how rare and perhaps ironic it is that all of this happened at the police station, especially since there is the forensics lab here and everything, that this has become now a crime scene?
So the question is, can we talk about how rare this is? And I think for us, it's extremely rare that we would have someone armed with a gun come into one of our lobbies and directly challenge any of our law enforcement officers. I've seen some of the video footage myself, and as a former training officer, I'm extremely proud of the way that our officers responded to this, because it is a critical incident, and it is something that needs to be taken care of right away. We have an armed gun person in an enclosed space with a basically innocent bystander citizen there, and our officers did an amazing job of responding quickly and taking care of that citizen and making sure that that the suspect was no longer a threat to anyone else. So it really was the way that we would hope our officers would respond to a critical incident such as this, where they would quickly go in and make sure that that suspect can no longer harm or potentially harm anyone else, and then take care of everything from there.
I know you mentioned that employee was, sorry.
Are you able to explain when she
She entered the lobby and had a backpack with her and was sort of meandering in the lobby just for a short time before then she produced a gun and went up to the window and pointed it directly at our employee.
Was her tone of voice loud? Was she aggressive, or was it just like, oh my God?
I don't have any audio that I'm privy to or know any of that. Again, that'll be part of the investigation into the aggravated assault or that part of it, basically the weapon part, before the officer involved shooting happened. Yes.
Is this woman, I know you may not be able to release her name yet, but is she known to the department and has been here before?
We're still unclear what her business was here today or what reason she had to even be here. It's that's all still part of that investigation into, again, why and how she ended up here and what business was she hoping to conduct here, if any.
And you said when one of the officers shot back, her weapon fell to the ground. You may have noticed, what kind of gun? Was it a handgun? Was it a revolver or anything like that?
I can confirm it was a handgun, a type of handgun. Exact make, model, and caliber, I do not have that information. That'll still be part of the investigation too, so we wouldn't release it. And you were asking about the name of the woman. Yeah, we won't release that name until she's formally booked, if she is.
Have you had an incident like this in Scottsdale?
Nothing is coming immediately to mind for me in the 20 plus years that I've been a law enforcement officer here that we've had someone armed come into a lobby like this. And so I would say, again, this is pretty rare. But again, it was handled well by our officers that responded, thankfully. And thankfully, again, no other citizen that was there was not injured. None of our officers are injured. Everyone's okay that way. So we're very grateful for that. So.
I know you mentioned the employees that this woman was pointing the gun at were not armed. Do you think any policies or procedures could change about what those customer service employees, might look like moving forward? Could they possibly carry weapons now because of this?
I think it's really early to tell or speculate what changes might be made based on any of that. Again, it's something that we'll look at as part of the investigation and any follow-up that we need to do to make sure that our employees are safe and that citizens that do come to do services here or the adjacent buildings are safe as well. Obviously, we want everyone to be safe. That's part of why we put on a badge and a gun and we go out there and say we want to help make our communities safer. And so part of that would be keeping our own employees much safer. And so if there's ways that we can improve on that, I'm sure that's something that we'll look into, but it's really too early to speculate on how policies might change or how things might look different here in the future. It's really too early to tell, but if those changes are made, I'm sure we'll probably share them. Yeah.
How are the employees doing who witnessed this?
All our employees are receiving peer services, and we're helping them cope through as best we can. So that's all we're going to have time for right now, because again, we don't want to get too much into speculation or things that we can't talk about due to the ongoing investigation, but I appreciate all your time here today. We will have some additional updates on the investigation leading up to the officer-involved shooting, and again, Mesa Police will have any updates on the actual officer-involved shooting investigation portion. So those are separated, so make sure you're addressing your inquiries to the right police agencies for that, please. All right. Thank you all so much for your time. Thanks for braving the heat.